Habakkuk chapter 2, verses 1 and 3. I will stand upon my watch and set me upon the tower, and will watch to see what he will say unto me, and what I shall answer when I am reproved. And Yahweh answered me and said, Write the vision, and make it plain upon tables, that he may run that readeth it. For the vision is yet for an appointed time, but at the end it shall speak, and not lie. Though it tarry, wait for it, because it will surely come. It will not tarry.
Our song selection will be Write the Vision.
The oracles of the UCI. 1 Peter chapter 4, verses 7 through 11. But the end of all things is at hand. Be you therefore sober, and watch unto prayer. And above all things have fervent love among yourselves, for love shall cover the multitude of sins. Use hospitality one to another without grudging. As every man has received the gift, even so minister the same one to another, as good stewards of the manifold grace of Elohim. If any man speak, let him speak as the oracles of Elohim. If any man minister, let him do it as of the ability which Elohim gives, that Elohim in all things may be glorified through Yahshua HaMashiach, to whom be praise and dominion forever and ever. Amen. Ephesians chapter 4, verses 29 through chapter 5 and verse 4. Let no corrupt communication proceed out of your mouth, but that which is good to the use of edifying, that it may minister grace unto the hearers. And grieve not the Holy Spirit of Elohim, whereby you are sealed until the day of redemption. Let all bitterness and wrath and anger and clamor and evil speaking be put away from you with all malice. And be you kind one to another, tender-hearted, forgiving one another, even as Elohim for Yahshua's sake has forgiven you. Be you therefore followers of Elohim, as their children, and walk in love, as the Mashiach also have loved us, and has given himself for us an offering and sacrifice to Elohim for a sweet-smelling savor. But fornication and all uncleanness or covetousness, let it not be once named among you as become saints. Neither filthiness, nor foolish talking, nor jesting, which are not convenient, but rather given of thanks. Ecclesiastes chapter 5, verses 1 and 2. Keep your foot when you go to the house of Elohim, and be more ready to hear than to give the sacrifice of fools, for they consider not that they do evil. Be not rash with your mouth, and let not your heart be hasty to utter anything before Elohim. For Elohim is in heaven, and you upon earth, therefore let your words be few. Exodus chapter 23, verses 20 and 21. Behold, I send an angel before you, to keep you in the way, and to bring you into the place which I have prepared. Beware of him, and obey his voice. Provoke him not, for he will not pardon your transgressions, for my name is in him. Revelations chapter 3, verses 20 through 22. Behold, I stand at the door and knock. If any man hear my voice and open the door, I will come into him and will sup with him, and he with me. To him that overcomes will I grant to sit with me in my throne, even as I have also overcame, and am sat down with my Father in his throne. He that has an ear, let him hear what the Spirit says unto the churches.
All right, Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Which is peace on Yahweh's Holy Sabbath Day. Welcome to another holy convocation that Yahweh has enjoined unto us here in Stone Mountain, Georgia. We're going to deal with some things about dreams and visions, and in dealing with that, we're going to go into how Yahweh ends up sometimes directing the children of Israel. But even in doing that, we have to also understand that Yahweh is not going to give us dreams and visions to direct us in everything, because he has also given us his word. When we talk about being directed by the Spirit, we have to also remember that the word is the Spirit. So you have a situation where Yahweh can come in and deal with things on a immediate level. And then there's a situation where he has already given us instructions, and he expects us to go into those things to know how to deal with situations. When we examine the prophecies and the things that happened before with the children of Israel, you will find that Yahweh does the same things over and over. So when you look at what ends up happening coming out of the first Egypt, you have to consider and then prepare ourselves for the eventual situation where the daughter of Babylon is going to be destroyed, and then consider the things that we're going to have to go through. And we want things as peaceful as we can possibly have them. But we have to understand that the things that we have coming toward us is going to be the most unpeaceful situation that we have ever encountered. Our forefathers were the ones that went through Jim Crow. We don't know Jim Crow. So we've gotten a little bit beside ourselves. We don't know what it's like to be able to afford a car and then have the police pull you over and you have to act like the car belongs to somebody else. If you listen to some of those stories of Ralph David Abernathy and all of them, there were times where I was laughing listening to one of the stories because the guy, he got pulled over by the cops and he has this nice car. And he said, you know, what you doing, boy? He said, I'm just taking Miss Jones, his car, sir. Now, what he didn't tell him is that he was Mr. Jones. That was his car. But he had to lie and act like this was this was a white man car and he was just driving the man's car. We don't know that kind of life. And we've gotten kind of separated from having to deal with things in that manner. But once this new king was put in office, all of a sudden we've had to hear some things and see some things that we had kind of forgotten, that we had believed were buried, that we didn't have to deal with any of these things anymore. All of a sudden you find out they didn't go anywhere. They're still there. And if we think that they're just there on the surface, we're going to find out when things really go down just how deeply embedded those mindsets are. When we go and read in the beginning of the book, it says that the children of Israel, first they were asking to leave Egypt. By the end, it was like, get out. We have to consider that. At some point, we were the biggest, bringer in of money for, this nation. And we have to consider what is going to happen when we get to the point of them just saying, get out. And we watch that progress bit by bit as we see everything that our people do is put on the news and it is scrutinized. You watch as every time they put one of us on television that they zoom in on the picture and show you 55 inches of this person's face. This is made for the nations to hate us. That is not an accident. That is not something that just happens. It is directed, and somebody is giving them the order to zoom in on this face. Zoom all the way in on this face. Make this face look more aggressive than any other face. And this has been happening year after year after year after year. So these things are embedded inside of people, just waiting to be activated at a point when turmoil arises. We look at those things where they talk about they're like sleeper agents, where they teach these kids all of these things, and then once something pops up, once that traumatic event happens, everything goes into play. And we kind of let it slip by us that all of these things are happening right under our noses, that these people are being programmed to act a certain way, so that when things really do pop off, you're going to see that they have been programmed to operate this way the whole time. That's what the zooming in on our picture does. And if you look at a news program, you'll watch, they'll zoom in on one picture and the next one they won't. Why not? The second person did something more horrible than the first. Why did they zoom in on that one? So the whole purpose is to make us look like, as it is written, it says that there will come a time that they will seek to kill you and believe that they do Elohim a service. Let's begin today's sermon in Judges chapter 13. Judges chapter 13, and we're going to read verses 1 through 25. And as I was saying before, the word is a spirit, as it is written. And you have to go back and spend some time with that spirit. I quoted this the other, I guess a couple of weeks ago, or maybe a week ago, and it made me go back and read it. Then I realized that I had forgot some some parts of it. And this is why, even dealing with situations, when a situation comes up, you want to deal with that situation then instead of waiting a year later, because your memory ain't as great as you think it is, you know. And in doing that, I had a conversation with somebody, and later on, I remembered something that I didn't remember when I had that conversation with him. So I got to go back and deal with that. But that's one of those things. What happens when you talk a year later instead of a week later? Judges chapter 13, and let's start there at verse 1.
And the children of Israel did evil again in the sight of Yahweh, and Yahweh delivered them into the hand of the Philistines 40 years.
Right. So the beginning part about this is about Israel's dealings. First off, go ahead.
And there was a certain man of Zorah, of the family of the Danites, whose name was Manoah, and his wife was barren and bare not. And the angel of Yahweh appeared unto the woman, and said unto her, Behold now, you are barren, and beareth not, but you shall conceive, and bear a son, pardon me.
Yeah.
Now therefore beware, I pray you, and drink not wine nor strong drink, and eat not any unclean thing.
Now, you see how this could cause a schism in the house if the angel is going to the woman, but then the man is the head of the house, and then she's going home to tell the man how not to feed her baby certain things, how she can't engage in certain activities. Go ahead.
For, lo, you shall conceive, and bear a son, and no razor shall come on his head, for the child shall be a Nazarite unto Elohim from the womb.
He shall be a Nazarite unto Elohim from the womb. So then this is a little different, because now you can't deal with any of these things even leading up to before he's born. Go ahead.
And he shall begin to deliver Israel out of the hand of the Philistines. Then the woman came and told her husband, saying, A man of Elohim came unto me, and his countenance was like the countenance of an angel of Elohim, very terrible. But I asked him not whence he was, neither told he me his name.
Now, first thing is, after the man comes unto the woman, the first thing that the woman does is then go and tell her husband about the conversation. If you go back in Genesis, this is the first beginning issue. The adversary comes and pulls the woman aside, talks to the woman. You have a situation where the instruction, the commandment was given unto him. Do not eat. Somehow a different commandment came across saying that we shall not surely die. No, the instruction was we shall not eat of this tree, period. Where did somebody else give you a different idea? So at some point there's supposed to be some rattling around about where these new ideas come from. Go ahead.
Verse 7. But he said unto me, Behold, you shall conceive and bear a son, and now drink no wine nor strong drink, neither eat any unclean thing, for the child shall be a Nazarite to Elohim from the womb to the day of his death.
He shall be a Nazarite unto Elohim from the womb to the day of his death. Now, this is being told her, do not do these things because you shall conceive. So you have to stop doing them now. Go ahead.
Then Manoah entreated Yahweh and said, O my Adonai, let the man of Elohim which you did send come again unto us, and teach us what we shall do unto the child that shall be born.
Now, this is the part that I have forgotten. Now, he has to pray. The angel already came to the woman. He's got to pray for the angel to come back. Go ahead.
And Elohim hearkened to the voice of Manoah.
Now, Elohim heard his voice, but check out what he does. Go ahead.
And the angel of Elohim came again unto the woman.
Stop. Elohim heard his prayer and went back to the woman. Elohim didn't hear his prayer and came to him. 2 times the angel went directly to the woman. Go ahead.
And Elohim hearkened to the voice of Manoah, and the angel of Elohim came again unto the woman as she sat in the field. But no, Manoah, her husband, was not with her.
Now, husband's not there, angel's there with the woman. Go ahead.
And the woman made haste and ran.
She made haste and ran. She's putting her house in order. Go ahead.
And showed her husband, and said unto him, Behold, the man has appeared unto me, that came on to me the other day. And Manoah arose and went after his wife, and came to the man and said unto him, Are you the man that spake to the woman? And he said, I am.
Right. He answered his prayer, but he still came in the same way by coming directly to the woman. The woman then made haste, went and got her husband and brought her to the man. Go ahead.
And Manoah said, Now let your words come to pass. How shall we order the child, and how shall we do unto him? And the angel of Yahweh said unto Manoah, Of all that I said unto the woman, let her beware. She may not eat of anything that comes of the vine.
Now he's going into even deeper detail about the instructions that he gave to the woman. Go ahead.
Neither let her drink wine or strong drink, nor eat any unclean thing. All that I commanded her, let her observe.
And he's letting it be known. I already told her this, and now I'm finna tell you. Go ahead.
And Manoah said unto the angel of Yahweh, I pray you, let us detain you until we shall have made ready a kid for you. And the angel of Yahweh said unto Manoah, Though you detain me, I will not eat of your bread. And if you will offer a burnt offering, you must offer it unto Yahweh. For Manoah knew not that he was an angel of Yahweh. And Manoah said unto the angel of Yahweh, What is your name? That when your sayings come to pass, we may do you honor. And the angel of Yahweh said unto him, Why ask you thus after my name, seeing it is secret?
Right. This is why I have a real issue with books like Enoch that has names of 100 different angels. When we can go through this book, we can't find but 2. And he's saying, you don't need to know my name. My name not important. Glorify Yahweh. So when I get to a book and people tell me that every other line, I get to another name of an angel, I got a problem with that. Because it doesn't coincide with what Moses said, and it doesn't coincide with what the rest of this book says. Angels not offering their name like that because they don't want anybody to worship them, because then they're going to get in trouble. No person seeking after righteousness will allow anybody to serve or worship them, because then they're taking Yahweh's glory. And no servant of Yahweh is going to allow that. And his first step in not even allowing it is, I ain't telling you my name. I know what you're going to do with it. When we made the snake on the pole, it was commanded for us to make the snake on the pole. Whenever they got bit by the serpent, they would look upon the snake, they would be healed. What we start doing? We start worshiping the snake on the pole. Eventually they had to destroy the snake on the pole. That was not what it was created for. But that didn't stop the people from doing it. Go ahead.
Verse 19, Judges chapter 13 and verse 19. So Manoah took a kid with a meat offering and offered it up on a rock unto Yahweh. And the angel did wondrously, and Manoah and his wife looked on. For it came to pass, when the flame went up toward heaven from off the altar, that the angel of Yahweh ascended in the flame of the altar. And Manoah and his wife looked on it, and fell on their faces to the ground. But the angel of Yahweh did no more appear to Manoah and to his wife. Then Manoah knew that he was an angel of Yahweh. And Manoah said unto his wife, We shall surely die, because we have seen Elohim.
So now he's scared. This the head of the house, but he's afraid. Verse 21, the angel of Yahweh did no more appear to Manoah and to his wife. Then Manoah knew that he was an angel of Yahweh. Now he knows after the fact that this is an angel. Remember what it says. Be careful, for some of you have entertained angels unawares. So if you mind your conduct, you don't have to worry about, what did I just do that I might regret? Because see, now he got to play back in his head how he dealt with this situation. But the woman had already told you, hey, this was a man, but this was a different kind of man. I mean, it was like, it was terrible to be in his presence, but I didn't want to leave. So he already knew that if this a man, he sure ain't a regular man. Go ahead.
But his wife said unto him, If Yahweh were pleased to kill us, we would not have received a burnt offering, or he would not have received a burnt offering and a meat offering at our hands. Neither would he have showed us all these things, nor would as at this time have told us such things as these.
Right. So you see that the woman has a deeper spiritual understanding when it comes down to the word here. Because at this point, he's full of fear. She's the one that's calming him down. Now, at this point, she has the ability to either calm him down or rile him up. Depends on how she deals with that. She can then make him more afraid if she used the wrong words. He already afraid now. He think he finna die. Now she starts saying, he finna kill us. Oh, he just took that fire up there and he just swirled it around. He finna hit you with it, baby. He might have took all around. Ah! It all depends on how she handled this at this point. She's the one who handles this situation. And depending on how she does it, it is going to determine the outcome. So she calms him down. Go ahead.
And the woman bare a son and called his name Samson. And the child grew, and Yahweh blessed him. And the Spirit of Yahweh began to move him at times in the camp of Dan between Zorah and Eshtaol.
All right, let's go to Numbers chapter 12. And I had to go back into that because I said some things about it, and I ended up mentioning a detail or two, either incorrectly or out of order. So forgive me for that. But that's why you want to go back and read that, because I did not remember that. That was 2 times that the angel did come unto the woman. Numbers chapter 12. And let's start that at verse 1.
And Miriam and Aaron spake against Moshe because of the Ethiopian woman whom he had married, for he had married an Ethiopian woman. And they said, Has Yahweh indeed spoken only by Moshe? Has he not spoken also by us? And Yahweh heard it.
So the issue was one thing about the woman he had married, but now it has now crossed a different line. Now she's questioning whether or not he is a servant of Yahweh. And now he has now been put on the same level with everybody else. Have Yahweh also not spoken by us? We just as much as a servant as he is. Go ahead.
Now the man Moshe was very meek, above all the men which were upon the face of the earth.
Now, one of the things about Moshe being very meek was that Yahweh kept changing his life as he changed his direction. He was raised up. Understand, first of all, he was brought forth in turmoil. He was brought forth when everybody else is being killed. Here is when he's born. He then gets put in the house of the very people who are killing his people. He then gets raised by the murderers. See, I don't think people put all of that in context. He is raised by the people who are constantly mistreating and murdering his people. He's raised by them. He learns all their gods. He learns all the manner of speech of the Egyptians. And then the love for his people kicks into gear. He ends up murdering a man who was mistreating one of his people. Now he's a fugitive. He has to run out. Then he has to go, this is at the 40th year of his life. Then he has to go out amongst those people, away from all the people that he knew, run into the Midianites, 40 years there. Then has to come back into the place where he was a fugitive and ran from justice to now go and declare something to these people. So when you read about Moshe was very meek, he was obedient. Yahweh changed the direction of this man's life several times. So when you get to this Egyptian woman, they didn't like the Egyptian woman. These people they've been ruling over them with rigor. How you gonna marry one of them? The Midianite woman we can deal with. The Egyptian? Ethiopian? No, we got a problem with that. These people been ruling over us all this time. But he was raised in the house 40 years before he had to take off running. So it's a part in allowing Yahweh to direct his life that somehow gets lost in the story. Go ahead.
You know, last week you were mentioning about the neighborhood where you were raised and all these levels of children at the same age.
Mm-hmm.
When you think about even Moshe did not have that with our people, because everybody his age was being killed off.
You got it.
So anybody his age would have been Egyptian.
Egyptian. And he wouldn't have been able to fraternize with them like that anyway. Even when he's dealing with them, he has to look at them from afar. He can't commingle with them like that. He can't go out there and say, all right, hey, y'all, let's play some basketball. That ain't gonna work. Hey, man, you can't be playing with them slaves. What's wrong with you? So he has to admire his people from afar. He's got to look at them and be like, man, I love them, but I can't go over there. Go ahead.
Numbers chapter 12 and verse 4. And Yahweh spake suddenly unto Moshe and unto Aaron and unto Miriam, come out, you three, unto the tabernacle of the congregation. And they three came out. And Yahweh came down in the pillar of the cloud and stood in the door of the tabernacle and called Aaron and Miriam, and they both came forth. And he said, hear now my words. If there be a prophet among you, I, Yahweh, will make myself known unto him in a vision and will speak unto him in a dream.
Right. So anytime people talk about prophecy, this prophecy is said that this is how it's going to come forth. I, Yahweh, will make myself known unto him in a vision and will speak unto him in a dream. Now, you're going to, if you examine this book, you're going to hear these things happen over and over and over and over. Dreams and visions. Yet the thing that we used to hear most on Sunday morning is, I talked to God last night. And it started giving us a thought process as to, man, why are we not communicating with God like that? Wait a minute, this book don't say that they're just going to communicate with God like that. He says over and over in dreams and visions, over and over and over. We don't get that part. That's not how it was communicated to us. Go ahead.
My servant Moshe is not so, who is faithful in all mine house.
He is faithful in all my house. Think about all the times that he had to change Moshe's life for Moshe to be this servant. So with a prophet, he says, I'm going to talk to them in dreams and in visions. Moshe is on a whole nother level. How I'm going to deal with him is going to be over that. So Moshe is greater than a prophet. Go ahead.
With him will I speak mouth to mouth, even apparently, and not in dark speeches. And in the similitude of Yahweh shall he behold. Wherefore, then were you not afraid to speak against my servant Moshe?
Okay, pause. With him will I speak mouth to mouth. So when we heard, I talked to God last night. Oh, so you're greater than a prophet then? Oh, so you're on Moshe level. And because we hear things like that, then we start believing when it comes time for changes to be made in our life, that somebody gonna come directly and talk to us. Because that's what they said. God talked to me last night. Wait a minute. So you must be over every prophet that's in this book. Because the only one Yahweh said he gonna deal with face to face like that is Moshe. And the next one after him was Yahshua. Good.
And the anger of Yahweh was kindled against them, and he departed. And the cloud departed from off the tabernacle, and behold, Miriam became leprous, white as snow.
So what she look like before that? Go ahead.
And Aaron looked upon Miriam, and behold, she was leprous. And Aaron said unto Moshe, Alas, my master, I beseech you, lay not the sin upon us, wherein we have done foolishly, and wherein we have sinned. Let her not be as one dead, of whom the flesh is half consumed when he comes out of his mother's womb. And Moshe cried unto Yahweh, saying, Heal her now, O Elohim, I beseech you. And Yahweh said unto Moshe, If her father had but spit in her face, should she not be ashamed 7 days? Let her be shut out from the camp 7 days, and after that, let her be received in again.
So he wasn't trying to hurt her. He was just trying to make a point. Say if her father had put spit in her face, she would have been separated 7 days. So no, I ain't going to heal her. Let her sit out, and then she'll come back in. Go ahead.
And Miriam was shut out from the camp 7 days, and the people journeyed not till Miriam was brought in again. And afterward the people removed from Hazeroth and pitched in the wilderness of Paran.
All right, keep going here in chapter 13.
And Yahweh spake unto Moshe, saying, Send you men, that they may search the land of Canaan, which I give unto the children of Israel. Of every tribe of their fathers shall you send a man, every one a ruler among them. And Moshe by the commandment of Yahweh sent them from the wilderness of Paran. All those men were heads of the children of Israel. And these were their names: of the tribe of Reuben, Shemua, the son of Zechor; of the tribe of Simeon, Shaphat, the son of Hori; of the tribe of Yehuda, Caleb, the son of Yephani; of the tribe of Issachar, Igal, the son of Yosef; of the tribe of Ephraim, Osi, the son of Nun; of the tribe of Benjamin, Paltiai, the son of Rapha.
In verse 8, you're going to often see it Hoshea or Yahshua. All right, go ahead.
Of the tribe of Zebulun, Gadiel, the son of Sodai; of the tribe of Yosef, namely of the tribe of Manasseh, Gadai, the son of Susai; of the tribe of Dan, Amiel, the son of Gamaliel; of the tribe of Asher, Sethor, the son of Mikael; of the tribe of Naphtali, Nehabai, the son of Voshai; of the tribe of Gad, Geuel, the son of Maakai. These are the names of the men which Moshe sent to spy out the land. And Moshe called Oshi, the son of Nun, Yehoshua. And Moshe sent them to spy out the land of Canaan, and said unto them, Get you up this way southward, and go up into the mountain.
This is why you see Yahshua at some places and then Oshia in other places, because Israel has a real knack for nicknaming each other. We still do it to this day. We just tell somebody, you know, that name too long. We don't even want to say all that. We're going to call you this. We don't ask the people how they feel about it. We just give people nicknames. And they take it. But you find out this is something we've been doing. And Yahweh does it. Go ahead.
And see the land, what it is, and the people that dwell therein, whether they be strong or weak, few or many. And what the land is that they dwell in it, whether it be good or bad, and what cities there be that they dwell in, whether in tents or in strongholds.
Now, you have to remember the things that took place right before it, the rebellion, the belief that Yahweh speaks through all of us, that, you know, everybody's on the same level type thing. Now you have all of these men that are going out to spy the land. So sometimes you have to back up and see the things that happen right before that. Then you can examine the things that are happening at that point. Go ahead.
And what the land is, whether it be fat or lean, whether there be wood therein or not. And be you of good courage, and bring of the fruit of the land. Now the time was the time of the first ripe grapes, So they went up and searched the land from the wilderness of Zin unto Rehoboth, as men come to Hamath. And they ascended by the south, and came unto Hebron, where Ahiman, Shishai, and Talmai, the children of Anak, were. Now Hebron was built 7 years before Zoan in Egypt. And they came unto the brook of Eshcol, and cut down from thence a branch with one cluster of grapes, and they bare it between two upon a staff. And they brought of the pomegranates and of the figs. The place was called the brook Eshcol, because of the cluster of grapes which the children of Israel cut down from thence. And they returned from searching of the land after 40 days. And they went and came to Moshe and to Aaron and to all the congregation of the children of Israel unto the wilderness of Paran, to Kadesh, and brought back word unto them and unto all the congregation, and showed them the fruit of the land. And they told him and said, We came onto the land whither you sent us, and surely it flows with milk and honey, and this is the fruit of it. Nevertheless, the people be strong that dwell in the land, and the cities are walled and very great. And moreover, we saw the children of Anak there.
So the land is a good land, but we've seen some other things in the land that causes us to waver in our faith. Go ahead.
The Amalekites dwell in the land of the south, and the Hittites and the Jebusites and the Amorites dwell in the mountains, and the Canaanites dwell by the sea and by the coast of Jordan. And Caleb stilled the people before Moshe and said, Let us go up at once.
Now he's got a totally different mindset. They said, we saw some people, they look stronger than us, they bigger than us, they was warlike people. We will not be able to overcome these people. He said, let us go up now. Them two totally different mindsets. Go ahead.
Let us go up at once and possess it, for we are well able to overcome it.
We are well able to overcome it. The other said, no, it's giants there. These people look like warriors. We're going to lose. Go ahead.
But the men that went up with him said, We be not able to go up against the people, for they are stronger than we. And they brought up an evil report of the land which they had searched out unto the children of Israel, saying, The land through which we have gone to search it is a land that eats up the inhabitants thereof, and all the people that we saw in it are men of great stature.
Mm-hmm.
And there we saw the giants, the sons of Anak, which come of the giants, and we were in our own sight as grasshoppers, and so we were in their sight.
So we're talking about a group of individuals that walked through a body of water and came through dry. But then they saw tall men and got scared. You got to weigh the two of those and put them beside each other. You know how much he brought through the wind that separated this water. First of all, you have to understand how noisy that was and how scary it would even have to be to walk through a wall of water. Now you just walk through that. But you see a big war-looking dude over there and you got scared. But he calls you to walk through the water though. But you're scared of some men that you see. This is why Yahweh say they are not all Israel that are of Israel. So now you see a real divide in the faith level right here, because it don't look like they can physically overcome this situation. And these are situations that Yahweh loves. Yahweh loves situations where it look like you ain't gonna win. He said, that's how I get my glory. If it look like you gonna win, everybody gonna think you did it. But if it look like you gonna lose, that's where I get my glory at. I don't want to show up when you fighting, you know what I'm saying, the 15-pound dude with the pocket protector. I don't want to show. Ain't no need me showing up there. Everybody gonna think you beat that. But when you go up against that Kimbo Slice looking dude, oh, that's it. I need to show up then. Because everybody think you're gonna lose that one. That's the one I need to be at. Don't call me when you fight the dude with the pocket protector. I don't even need to be there. I need to be in that other fight where everybody gather around to watch you lose. But that ain't how that go down. Go ahead.
That was it.
Go to Numbers 14 and start that at verse 20.
Numbers chapter 14 and verse 20.
Now, understand, they all saw the same thing. But how they delivered the report, how they delivered their words, is now dictating their salvation. They all saw the same thing now. They all saw the grapes. They all saw the pomegranates. They all saw the tall men of great stature. They saw the warlike men. They saw the giants. Some people describe that one way. Other people describe that a totally different way. Numbers 14, and let's start that at verse 20.
And Yahweh said, I have pardoned according to your word. But as truly as I live, all the earth shall be filled with the glory of Yah.
Right. So Moshe is trying to stand in the breach to protect the children of Israel from being destroyed. Go ahead.
Because all those men which have seen my glory and my miracles, which I did in Egypt and in the wilderness, and have tempted me now these 10 times, and have not hearkened to my voice.
Right. They seen the miracles. They seen all of the things that he did, yet they constantly still questioned him. Go ahead.
Surely they shall not see the land which I swear unto their fathers, neither shall any of them that provoke me see it. But my servant Caleb, because he had another spirit with him, and has followed me fully, him will I bring into the land whereinto he went, and his seed shall possess it.
Right. He had another spirit with him. See, they were all talking about straight fear. He was talking about something altogether different. Go ahead.
Now the Amalekites and the Canaanites dwelt in the valley. Tomorrow turn you and get you into the wilderness by the way of the Red Sea. And Yahweh spake unto Moshe and unto Aaron, saying, How long shall I bear with this evil congregation, which murmur against me? I have heard the murmurings of the children of Israel, which they murmur against me. Say unto them, As truly as I live, says Yahweh, as you have spoken in mine ears, so will I do to you. Your carcasses shall fall in this wilderness, and all that were numbered of you, according to your whole number, from 20 years old and upward, which have murmured against me.
Right. From 20 years old and upward that have murmured against me, they are at the age of accountability. They're going to have to answer for themselves. And you have to let them answer for themselves. Go ahead.
Doubtless you shall not come into the land, concerning which I swear to make you dwell therein, save Caleb the son of Jephunneh, and Yahshua the son of Nun. But your little ones, which you said should be a prey, them will I bring in, and they shall know the land which you have despised. But as for you, your carcasses, they shall fall in this wilderness. And your children shall wander in the wilderness 40 years, and bear your whoredoms until your carcasses be wasted in the wilderness.
They're going on these travels and trails, and sometimes they're walking and almost circling and doing all of these things. All he's doing is pausing long enough for that generation to die off, because that generation was full of unbelievers. Though they called on Yahweh's name, they didn't believe Yahweh in heart. And actions proved that. Once they got in the situation, it proved that they didn't believe Yahweh like that. Go ahead.
After the number of the days in which you searched the land, even 40 days, each day for a year, shall you bear your lawlessness, even 40 years, and you shall know my breach of promise. I, Yahweh, have said, I will surely do it unto all this evil congregation that are gathered together against me. In this wilderness they shall be consumed, and there they shall die. And the men which Moshe sent to search the land, who returned and made all the congregation to murmur against him, by bringing up a slander upon the land.
Right. How you end up delivering something ends up causing other people some issues. Because of the way they brought back the report, the rest of the children of Israel started to murmur. Understand, they wasn't there. Then but 12 of them see the land. When they came back and brought their evil report, now the rest of the people are murmuring. They didn't even see it. They murmuring about what somebody else said. Go ahead.
Even those men that did bring up the evil report upon the land died by the plague before Yahweh. But Yahshua the son of Nun and Caleb the son of Jephunneh, which were of the men that went to search the land, live still.
Right. So that's one of the reasons why a lot of times when we read, and I'll skip, the names and whatnot, but we needed to read all those names so you can hear all the names of the people who got killed. Normally we bypass that, because sometimes names difficult to say. All these names are Hebrew and ethnic names. No. He read all of those. He stated who all was there, because a lot of times the only ones we read is Caleb and Yahshua, because they're the only ones that live. No, you need to go through all those other ones and see that when they brought back that evil report, that it caused the death of them by how they end up delivering that report. Let's go to Luke chapter 1. That little man snoring like he been in a factory. You know what I'm talking about? Like boy, I'm talking about he been working at UPS at the stock room. You know what I'm talking about? That's some real work back there. Don't let them fool you. Hey. Little man been working. Y'all need to get yourself together. He did a double shift. Luke chapter 1, let's read verses 5 through 22.
There was in the days of Herod, the king of Judea, a certain priest named Zacharias, of the course of Abiah, and his wife was of the daughters of Aaron, and her name was Elizabeth. And they were both righteous before Elohim.
They were both righteous before Elohim. Go ahead.
Walking in all the commandments and ordinances of the Adonai blameless.
Blameless. Listen to the two things that are said about them. Righteous, blameless. Next thing.
And they had no child.
Stop. They did not have a child because of anything they had done wrong. Righteous, blameless. Next thing, no child. Having no child had nothing to do with anything that they had done. Go ahead.
Because that Elizabeth was barren, and they both were now well stricken in years.
So now they're even older, and they have been all this time without a child. Go ahead.
And it came to pass that while he executed the priest's office before Elohim in the order of his course, according to the custom of the priest's office, his lot was to burn incense when he went into the temple of the Adonai.
And you know people were talking. Now this is a priest, and he been working in the temple. Why he ain't got no kid? Look how long he been in here. This man well stricken in age. He been faithful all these years. Why Yahweh gave him no kid? This got something to do with Yahweh, not anything to do with them. Go ahead.
And the whole multitude of the people were praying without at the time of incense.
All right, so he got a job. He has a job with Yahweh, and he's doing his job faithfully. Go ahead.
There appeared unto him an angel of the Adonai standing on the right side of the altar of incense. And when Zechariah saw him, he was troubled, and fear fell upon him.
Right, because ain't nobody supposed to be in there. All right? So he's got an issue. First of all, how you get in here? Who are you? Now I'm in trouble. Go ahead.
But the angel said unto him, Fear not, Zacharias, for your prayer is heard. And your wife Elizabeth shall bear you a son, and you shall call his name Johanan.
So, first of all, Johanan is a strange name, according to their culture. So now a man shows up, appears in a place where ain't no other person supposed to be while you doing this job. And the man says, your prayer is heard. Understand, it says they were well stricken in years. Think about how long ago he had to pray that prayer. He didn't pray that prayer yesterday. He done forgot about that prayer. Ain't nobody getting 65, 70 years old still praying, let my wife have a child. They done stopped that prayer because in their mind, they already think Yahweh ain't going to answer that one. We too old for him to answer that one. Because see, now we have limited Yahweh by our fleshly thinking. See, we think Yahweh on the same level of thought pattern as we are. So if we don't like something, he don't like it. If we can't do something, he can't do it. Something wrong with that? Go ahead.
And you shall have joy and gladness, and many shall rejoice at his birth. For he shall be great in the sight of the Adonai, and shall drink neither wine nor strong drink, and he shall be filled with the Holy Spirit, even from his mother's womb. And many of the children of Israel shall he turn to the Adonai their Elohim. And he shall go before him in the spirit and power of Elias, to turn the hearts of the fathers to the children, and the disobedient to the wisdom of the just, to make ready a people prepared for the Adonai. And Zechariah said unto the angel, Whereby shall I know this? For I am an old man, and my wife well stricken in years.
Now, here's where his fault starts. It says he was righteous. Says he was a good man, him and his wife. But this is where he makes just a tad bit of a little mistake. He decides he's going to question the angel of Yahweh. See, this is why when people say, I talked to God last night, this is why you don't want that to happen. Come to me in a dream and a vision. Leave me something that I ain't got to open my mouth and say something stupid. This is where a righteous and obedient man stick his foot in his mouth. Go ahead.
You know, even in verse 17, he said the angel explaining to him that he will walk in the spirit and power of Elias.
Yes.
So it means that he never told his son, because his son always say, I'm not him.
Exactly. This is some real powerful stuff. First of all, that the angel is telling him about this child that these two old people gonna have. And you see, Yahweh waits that there's a time. He has to be there as Yahshua is also coming forth, so he couldn't have come early. If he's trying to bring and let it come from these two individuals, that child cannot be too far above Yahshua. So he's got to hold that child back. And one thing you find out too, when you parenting, when you get a little older, you learn some better parenting skills. You ain't as rash as you was, most of us anyway. You get a little older, you realize I'm not doing that right there. I did that before. I ain't doing that. So he making sure they got themselves together before they get his child, because he got a job to do. I'm gonna need you to make sure he on point. So you need to be on point. Go ahead.
Verse 19. And the angel answering said unto him, I am Gabriel, that stand in the presence of Elohim, and am sent to speak unto you, and to show you these glad tidings. And behold, you shall be dumb, and not able to speak, until the day that these things shall be performed.
Right. You know that foot that you stuck in your mouth? Keep it in that mouth until this child come forth. Hey man, it take 9 months to have a baby. Because you asked me that stupid thing? Keep that same foot in your mouth for the next 9 months. Go ahead.
Because you believe not my words, which shall be fulfilled in their season.
Now, this is where you find out Yahweh deals with things according to levels. There's other situations where people ask questions and the angel didn't strike them with dumbness. But understand what his job was. He was a priest. He in there lighting the incense. Yahweh held him to a certain standard. And when he questioned, he walked out of there with a problem. He was doing a holy job and walked out sick. Why? Because he questioned Yahweh. And because he was at a certain level. Had that been somebody else, Yahweh probably wouldn't have done that. No. You're a priest. You're in the priesthood. You're lighting the incense. How you going to question the angel? I tell you what, you ain't going to ask no more questions for a while. Go ahead.
And the people waited for Zacharias and marveled that he tarried so long in the temple. And when he came out, he could not speak unto them. And they perceived that he had seen a vision in the temple. For he beckoned unto them and remained speechless.
Right. They trying to figure out why their brother ain't talking. How their brother just came out there, he liked the incense, and he come out there. What? What the dude talking when he went in there? Why is this dude not talking now? Right. Because his mouth opened and said the wrong thing. Yahweh in the point-making business. You ain't going to be able to talk. Consider that. 9 months, your woman who is elderly is pregnant and you can't talk. This is like the biggest miracle around town. Everybody looking at that old woman. What in the world? Is her stomach big? This is amazing. Everybody who's walking by and you. Right. Oh, y'all in the point making business. He is in the point making business. Let's go to Proverbs chapter 3.
Proverbs chapter 3 and verse 1. My son, forget not my law, but let your heart keep my commandments. For length of days and long life and peace shall they add to you. Let not mercy and truth forsake you. Bind them about your neck. Write them upon the table of your heart. So shall you find favor and good understanding in the sight of Elohim and man. Trust in Yahweh with all your heart, and lean not onto your own understanding.
Trust in Yahweh with all your heart, and lean not to your own understanding. In the beginning, it says, my son, forget not my law. Because the way we grew up in the daughter of Babylon, we were already poisoned against Yahweh's law. Yahweh's law is his culture. This is the culture that he has placed among the children of Israel. That is contained in his law. We have been poisoned against the culture of Yahweh without really telling us that that is what they were poisoning us against. We were just told that this law is a thing of bondage. And when you actually examine the law, you find out he didn't give us a law until we were being freed. We was already in bondage. We didn't have law. So it is amazing that this is the story that they give us. When you say you're dealing with the law of Yahweh, your Elohim, they say you're dealing with bondage. No, I ain't. I'm dealing with freedom. See, prisoners don't need law. Free people need law. Prisoners follow them bells and whistles. Time to go to lunch. Time to go to the playground. Time to go back to the mess hall. Lights out. You don't need no rules when you're a prisoner. Them bells tell you everything. You don't believe me? Ask somebody who went to jail. You need no rules. They direct you in everything that happens. Free people need law. Go ahead.
Verse 6. In all your ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct your paths. Be not wise in your own eyes. Fear Yahweh, and depart from evil. It shall be health to your navel, and marrow to your bones. Honor Yahweh with your substance, and with the first fruits of all your increase. So shall your barns be filled with plenty, and your presses shall burst out with new wine. My son, despise not the chastening of Yahweh, neither be weary of his correction.
Despise not the chastening of Yahweh, neither be weary when he corrects you. Go ahead.
For whom Yahweh loves, he corrects, even as a father the son in whom he delights.
Right. Yahweh corrects his children. He chastens his children. So when you do something wrong, something should happen to you for you to turn and go in a different direction or alter something. When that does not happen, you may be a child of the adversary. And here it is, we get upset when something happens. That something is a good thing. There's normally a warning when you drive your car and it starts making some crazy noise. That's your warning. You might want to go get that checked out. You stick the wrong thing in a socket and it pop. That's your warning. Don't keep pushing it in there. You might want to heed the warning. That's actually a good thing, not a bad thing. Although it doesn't feel good. Go ahead.
Happy is the man that finds wisdom, and the man that gets understanding. For the merchandise of it is better than the merchandise of silver, and the gain thereof than fine gold. She is more precious than rubies, and all the things you can desire are not to be compared unto her. Length of days is in her right hand, and in her left hand riches and honor. Her ways are ways of pleasantness, and all her paths are peace. She is a tree of life to them that lay hold upon her, and happy is everyone that retains her. Yahweh by wisdom has founded the earth, by understanding has he established the heavens. By his knowledge the depths are broken up, and the clouds drop down the dew. My son, let not them depart from your eyes. Keep sound wisdom and discretion. So shall they be life unto your soul and grace to your neck. Then shall you walk in your way safely, and your foot shall not stumble. When you lie down, you shall not be afraid. Yea, you shall lie down, and your sleep shall be sweet. Be not afraid of sudden fear, neither of the desolation of the wicked when it comes. For Yahweh shall be your confidence, and shall keep your foot from being taken. Withhold not good from them to whom it is due, when it is in the power of your hand to do it. Say not unto your neighbor, Go, and come again, and tomorrow I will give, when you have it by you. Devise not evil against your neighbor, seeing he dwells securely by you. Strive not with a man without cause, if he has done you no harm. Envy you not your oppressor, and choose none of his ways. For the froward is abomination to Yahweh, but his secret is with the righteous. The curse of Yahweh is in the house of the wicked, but he blesses the habitation of the just. Surely he scorneth the scorners, but he gives grace unto the lowly. The wise shall inherit glory, but shame shall be the promotion of fools.
All right, let's go to Jeremiah chapter 23.
Jeremiah chapter 23 and verse 1. Woe be unto the pastors that destroy and scatter the sheep of my pasture, says Yahweh.
Right. Woe be unto the pastors that destroy and scatter the sheep. And strange doctrine scatters the sheep. But understand, there's several different ways that the sheep can be scattered. Because if you deal with what Yahshua did, he gave them a hard saying, and those 70 dropped down to 12. There's one scattering that happens that comes from the adversary. And then there's another scattering that comes from Yahweh himself, where he's dealing with the remnant. So he offers a situation. So he allows the scattering when it comes down to that. My elder used to say, let something go long enough so you can get everybody who feels sympathetic to it, so you can get rid of all of them at the same time. Go ahead.
Therefore, thus says Yahweh Elohim of Israel against the pastors that feed my people, you have scattered my flock and driven them away, and have not visited them. Behold, I will visit upon you the evil of your doings, says Yahweh. And I'll gather the remnant of my flock out of all the countries whither I have driven them.
Remnant, once again, Yahweh is not dealing with all of Israel, because all of Israel is not going to allow Yahweh access to their whole heart. They will allow Yahweh access to the bottom left portion. He can get the top right, but he can't get that middle. Right. He's not dealing with them. Because if he start off trying to build a kingdom that way, understand what 3 generations later is going to turn into. He's got to start with the best of the best, because everything over time is going to have some kind of declining in it. If he starts with a decline, we doomed in 2 generations. He can't start with that. You got to start with the best and the strongest. Because after a while, we always decline every time you read this. Everybody believe Yahweh, we following Yahweh. 2 generations later, we talking about Yahoo. What happened? So he can't start like that. And he knows he can't start like that. So he's already picking the remnant. And his situation and circumstance, how he picks that remnant. The very things that we believe are judgment for somebody else, it's for us. It's to see what we gonna do. Go ahead.
And will bring them again to their folds, and they shall be fruitful and increase. And I'll set up shepherds over them which shall feed them, and they shall fear no more, nor be dismayed, neither shall they be lacking, says Yahweh. Behold, the days come, says Yahweh, that I will raise unto David a righteous branch, and a king shall reign and prosper, and shall execute judgment and justice in the earth. In his days Yehudah shall be saved, and Israel shall dwell safely, and this is his name whereby he shall be called, Yahweh our righteousness. Therefore, behold, the days come, says Yahweh, that they shall no more say, Yahweh lives, which brought up the children of Israel out of the land of Egypt. But Yahweh lives, which brought up and which led the seed of the house of Israel out of the north country, and from all countries where I had driven them, and they shall dwell in their own land.
This is where our salvation is. What we ended up, what we were given came from the nations, which was this thing of dying and going to heaven. Yahweh had already had the redemption of the children of Israel being restored in our land. We've been given somebody else's fairy tale. That was never ours. His whole thing was, the joy that I have for you is I'm going to return you unto your land. That's not a joy if you're already in your land. Go ahead.
Mine heart within me is broken because of the prophets. All my bones shake. I am like a drunken man, and like a man whom wine has overcome, because of Yahweh and because of the words of his holiness. For the land is full of adulterers. For because of swearing the land mourns. The pleasant places of the wilderness are dried up, and their course is evil, and their force is not right. For both prophet and priest are profane. Yea, in my house have I found their wickedness, says Yahweh. Wherefore their way shall be unto them as slippery ways in the darkness. They shall be driven on and fall therein. For I'll bring evil upon them, even the year of their visitation, says Yahweh. And I have seen folly in the prophets of Samaria. They prophesied in Baal, and caused my people Israel to err. I have seen also in the prophets of Jerusalem an horrible thing. They commit adultery and walk in lies. They strengthen also the hands of evildoers, that none does return from his wickedness.
They commit adultery and walk in lies. They strengthen also the hand of evildoers. You know, the upside down way that this country has things set up. You can go from place to place and have 1,000 kids. As long as you don't try to make a commitment to more than one of those people, you can do whatever the hell you want here. You can spread kids all around. You can not take care of them. You can do whatever it is you want. The daughter of Babylon don't come at you for that. And because we don't follow the biblical understanding for what a marriage is, you got a whole lot of people jumping from place to place, and they got one count in their mind. The God of Israel got a different count in his mind. Because he's going to start asking you about, all them people that you had that unholy matrimony with, you're going to have to answer for that. See, we don't think we're going to have to answer for that. See, we counting plaques on the wall. He not counting what's on the wall. He counting something altogether different. So when we get ready to answer for that count, it's going to be totally different than what we done told ourselves. It said the word is the spirit. What so says the spirit? You might want to figure out how he going to count. At least you get there and have that strange number. And you got an alibi for one. And he said, all right, well, I need an alibi for these other folk. Huh? What other folk? You remember back then? What you did? No, we counting that. Yahshua told that woman at the well, you've had 5 husbands. She wouldn't count but the one that she had right then. No. He said, no, I'm counting all that. Let's talk about all that. Go ahead.
They are all of them unto me as Sodom, and the inhabitants thereof as Gomorrah. Verse 15. Therefore thus says Yahweh of hosts concerning the prophets, behold, I will feed them with wormwood, and make them drink the water of gall. For from the prophets of Jerusalem is profaneness gone forth into all the land. Thus says Yahweh of hosts, hearken not unto the words of the prophets that prophesy unto you. They make you vain. They speak a vision of their own heart, and not out of the mouth of Yah. They say still unto them that despise me, Yahweh hath said, you shall have peace. And they say unto everyone that walks after the imagination of his own heart, no evil shall come upon you. For who has stood in the counsel of Yahweh, and has perceived and heard his word? Who has marked his word and heard it? Behold, a whirlwind of Yahweh is gone forth in fury, even a grievous whirlwind. It shall fall grievously upon the head of the wicked. The anger of Yahweh shall not return until he have executed, until he have profaned the thoughts of his heart. In the latter days you shall consider it perfectly. I have not sent these prophets, yet they ran. I have not spoken to them, yet they prophesied.
Right. And you can go out on the internet and run into these people that say anybody who's reading out of the book is prophesying. Now you must uncover your head because now you have become a prophet because you're reading out of this book. Did you receive it in a dream or a vision? Well, then you didn't receive a prophecy then. I can't steal another man's words and say that the prophecy was given unto me and it was written by Jeremiah. He prophesied it, I didn't. And it is amazing how many people are going about this teaching and will run up to you. You need to take that head covering off, brother. You prophesying. Maybe you have not read the definition of what a prophet is or what prophesying is. Go ahead.
But if they had stood in my counsel and had caused my people to hear my words, then they should have turned them from their evil way and from the evil of their doings. I am a Elohim at hand. Am I a Elohim at hand, says Yahweh, and not a Elohim afar off? Can any hide himself in secret places that I shall not see him, says Yahweh? Do not I fill heaven and earth, says Yahweh? I have heard what the prophet said, that prophesy lies in my name, saying, I have dreamed, I have dreamed. How long shall this be in the heart of the prophets that prophesy lies? Yea, they are prophets of the deceit of their own heart.
Right. And our people are believing that we will have this harmony in the land that we were brought as slaves. This ain't our promised land. This can't be your promised land. You were brought here without tickets. Everybody else had tickets. Cargo don't need tickets. We were brought here as cargo. What does the word say? I shall bring you into your enemy's land. Your enemy is anybody that don't worship Yahweh, your Elohim. Let's go ahead and draw this line right here so we can understand what an enemy is. Because a lot of us keep thinking that the enemy got a certain color skin, that they speak a certain language. No, you can have somebody look just like you and they just as much as your enemy as you've ever seen in your life. They got the same skin tone you. They speak the same language you. But they worship a different God. And their focus is on something altogether different. You trying to serve Yahweh and they over here trying to serve Buddha or somebody else. And then they're going to pass those things on to you if you ain't careful. You're going to have to stand up and your God, no, man, I can't do that right there. No, man, I can deal with you. We can talk. We can converse. We can still be friends. But this right here is where that line go. I can't do that right there. Go ahead.
It even says that the enemy can be even those of your own household. You know, so you can have a difference of opinion within your own household.
Well, you have an opinion. The issue is, what is your opinion based off of? See, when your opinion is based off the word, then it ain't just your opinion. See, when your opinion is based on what you think, feel, and believe, now it's real easy to have a problem. You notice that Yahweh didn't move Abraham to the death of his father. Why? Because he knew his father was going to dictate certain things. And Yahweh was already making that separation. Your father worship idols. I love you. So I'm going to sit here and I'm going to wait till your daddy die. Then I'm going to go ahead and send you on this path. That way you ain't got to keep fighting with your daddy. Because I know you're going to have to fight with him. Because he worshiped them other gods. But I love you. So to keep you from arguing with your daddy, I'm just going to wait until he passed. And as soon as he passed, boom, here he come dealing with Abraham. Then you got a situation, he brings Lot, because his daddy had already took Lot in. So then he takes Lot. What does Yahweh do? Next level. Yahweh gets ready to go on another level with Abraham. We're going to have to get rid of this Lot. How you get rid of him? Make him so rich they can't even be by each other. You got to love a God that calls you to separate from somebody because y'all both got too much money. How you going to not love a God like that? We got so much money we can't even live by. Hey, man, my cattle keep coming over in your land, man, and my herdmen keep arguing with your herdmen, and man, we keep having all these issues, man. We just so rich. Look, just pick a land and I'll pick the other one. But you gotta love them kind of separations. I sure hope he separate me like that. Look at it. We give you so much money. Hey, they just had so much stuff they had to separate. Soon as Lot's gone, I mean his head. You can see his head walking off in the distance. Now here come Yahweh. All right, now come on over here. Now another thing. Now let me tell you about this covenant. Did you just run him off so we can talk about the covenant? Yes. And you'll notice that Yahweh does the same thing over and over. So you might want to look at who Yahweh need to run off so he can enter into a deeper covenant with me. Interesting. Go ahead, bro.
Jeremiah chapter 23 and verse 27. Which think to cause my people to forget my name by their dreams which they tell every man to his neighbor, as their fathers have forgotten my name for Baal. The prophet that has a dream, let him tell a dream, and he that has my word, let him speak my word faithfully. What is the shaft to the wheat, says Yahweh? Is not my word like as a fire, says Yahweh, and like a hammer that breaks the rock in pieces? Therefore, behold, I am against the prophets, says Yahweh, that steal my words, every one from his neighbor. Behold, I am against the prophets, says Yahweh, that use their tongues and say, he says. Behold, I am against them that prophesy false dreams, says Yahweh, and do tell them, and cause my people to err by their lies and by their lightness. Yet I sent them not, nor commanded them. Therefore they shall not profit this people at all, says Yahweh. And when this people, or the prophet, or a priest, shall ask you, saying, what is the burden of Yahweh? You shall then say unto them, what burden? I will even forsake you, says Yahweh. And as for the prophet, and the priest, and the people that shall say, the burden of Yahweh, I will even punish that man and his house. Thus shall you say, every one to his neighbor, and every one to his brother, what has Yahweh answered? And what has Yahweh spoken? And the burden of Yahweh shall you mention no more, for every man's word shall be his burden. For you have perverted the words of the living Elohim, of Yahweh of hosts, our Elohim. Thus shall
right, that's as far as I want to go right there. Let's go to Genesis chapter 37. And the book of Genesis is absolutely full of prophecy that often slips by us because people don't know that they're reading prophecy. We think that we're reading just some accounts of someone's life. And when you get right down into it, you find out that he made these people live through the prophecy that would eventually befall the children of Israel. So it's one thing to have to read prophecy. It's something altogether different to be it. Genesis chapter 37, and let's read verses 1 through 11.
And Jacob dwelt in the land wherein his father was a stranger, in the land of Canaan. These are the generations of Jacob. Yosef, being 17 years old, was feeding the flock with his brethren, and the lad was with the sons of Bilhah, and with the sons of Zilpah, his father's wives. And Yosef brought unto his father their evil report. Now Israel loved Yosef more than all his children, because he was the son of his old age, and he made him a coat of many colors.
Now Israel loved Yosef more than all his children, because he was the son of his old age. He became a different father as he became an older man. He became a better father as he became an old man. When you're young, you discipline your son by punching him in the chest. You get a little older, you be like, you know what, that ain't gonna work. I gotta figure out something better than that right there. Go ahead.
And when his brethren saw that their father loved him more than all his brethren, they hated him and could not speak peaceably unto him. And Yosef dreamed a dream, and he told it his brethren, and they hated him yet the more.
So he has this gift, and the more he talks about this gift, the more they hate him because of his gift. Go ahead.
And he said unto them, Hear, I pray you, this dream which I have dreamed. For behold, we were binding sheaves in the field, and, lo, my sheaf arose, and also stood upright. And, behold, your sheaves stood round about, and made obeisance to my sheep.
Now he had to know that this dream was going to cause him some problems. But you know, when Yahweh puts something inside you, it's like fire shut up in your bones. It got to come out. So you might think you're going to keep it secret. I ain't going to say nothing. I ain't going to say nothing. Before you know it, blah. Your sheaves bowed down to mine. What? And this the little pretty boy with the little pretty coat on. And these dudes out been doing physical labor. They all, you know, the little muscular cats. And the little pretty boy come up talking about your stuff gonna bow down to mine. This don't really have a tendency to go well at all. Go ahead.
And his brethren said unto him, Shall you indeed reign over us? Or shall you indeed have dominion over us?
You see how fast? It wasn't no question about what that dream meant right there. It didn't take but a couple seconds for them to figure out. So what you saying, bro? Go ahead.
And they hated him yet the more for his dreams and for his words. And he dreamed yet another dream, and told it his brethren, and said, Behold, I have dreamed a dream more.
And Yahweh keep pushing him to make sure he keep telling the brothers, right? Because it's the brothers that he need to piss off. See? Yahweh know what he doing. He get his brother this dream, and then it's just inch. Ooh. Let me tell y'all this dream. We gonna kill this dude right here, bro. I'm about tired of his dream. Yeah. Yahweh like, give him another one. Because those are the ones who actually are going to make it possible for you to do great things with this gift. So I need you to take those very people off. Go ahead.
And behold, the sun and the moon and the 11 stars made obeisance to me.
Man, that's some, wait a minute, bro. Stars and what? Stars bound down to you, bro? Go ahead.
And he told it to his father and to his brethren. And his father rebuked him and said unto him, What is this dream that you have dreamt?
Right. His daddy want to ask him, what you ate before you went to sleep? Don't eat that no more. Go ahead.
Shall I and your mother and your brethren indeed come to bow down ourselves to you, to the earth?
Yes, you shall. We just don't know that yet. Go ahead.
And his brethren envied him, but his father observed the thing.
Right. His father observed it. See? So even though his father did rebuke him, like, man, what are these crazy dreams you having? But at the same time, he kind of, this ain't no normal stuff right here. Jump down to verse 23.
And it came to pass when Yosef was come unto his brethren, that they stripped Yosef out of his coat of many colors that was on him.
Right. So all of them, first of all, are out doing physical labor. They're out doing all of these things, yet this cat get the pretty coat. And he don't have to do the same labor that they're doing. So they already have some indignation. Then he keeps having these dreams about him being magnified over them. Go ahead.
And they took him and cast him into a pit, and the pit was empty. There was no water in it. And they sat down to eat bread, and they lifted up their eyes and looked. And, behold, a company of Ishmaelites came from Gilead with their camels bearing spicery and balm and myrrh, going to carry it down to Egypt.
All right, Ishmaelites. Who's Ishmael? Son of Abraham, right? Okay, go ahead.
And Yehudah said unto his brethren, What profit is it if we slay our brother and conceal his blood? Come, and let us sell him to the Ishmaelites, and let not our hand be upon him, for he is our brother and our flesh. And his brethren were content. Then there passed by Midianites merchantmen, and they drew and lifted up Yosef out of the pit, and sold Yosef to the Ishmaelites for 20 pieces of silver, and they brought Yosef into Egypt.
Now, Midian is the place where Moshe had to flee to, running out of Egypt. Another of the descendants of Abraham. So you find that it's prophecy laced in all of these things. He ends up having to go through these Midianites. Then after the Midianites, let's see where he goes. Go ahead.
And Reuben returned unto the pit, and behold, Yosef was not in the pit. And he rent his clothes. And he returned unto his brethren and said, The child is not, and I, whither shall I go? And they took Yosef's coat and killed a kid of the goats and dipped the coat in the blood.
Right. The goat is the sin offering that's going on, that's meant to cause the atonement for the children of Israel. So they killed the goat, put it on the coat. They have no idea of the prophetic way that they are putting the goat's blood on the coat. They are just trying to make it look like an evil beast got him, but they are fulfilling biblical law. They don't even know, because there ain't no biblical law yet. They don't even know what that is. There are two goats. One goat is let go in the wilderness. The other goat is sacrificed, and that goat is used to make the atonement for the children of Israel. They cover the coat of many colors with the goat blood. They have no idea what they're doing. And Yahweh orchestrating every bit of it. Go ahead.
And they sent the coat of many colors, and they brought it to their father, and said,
The coat of many colors is given to those who have power. That's first of all why the brothers are ticked off, because he's the youngest at this point. Why does he have the coat of many colors? Go ahead.
This have we found. Know now whether it be your son's coat or no. And he knew it, and said, It is my son's coat. An evil beast has devoured him. Yosef is without doubt rent in pieces. And Yaakov rent his clothes, and put sackcloth upon his loins, and mourned for his son many days. And all his sons and all his daughters rose up to comfort him, but he refused to be comforted. And he said, For I will go down into the grave unto my son mourning. Thus his father wept for him. And the Midianites sold him into Egypt unto Potiphar, an officer of Pharaoh's and captain of the guard.
Okay, so he went from the Ishmaelites, the Midianites. So you got Midian, which is where Moshe went. After Midian, after coming from the Midianites, he then went into Egypt. After Moshe coming out from Midian, he then went into Egypt. It is prophecy all in this. We keep looking at the accounts of somebody's life. It is going directly. The Midianites pick him up. He didn't go into Egypt. What happens with Moshe? He is the savior of the children of Israel. So one savior of Israel goes through something. The other savior of Israel goes through something almost exactly identical, even in the same places. That's why sometimes after you go all the way through this, back up and go through it again. Guarantee you with some stuff you didn't get. And when you go through it again, go through it again. And when you go through it again, go through it again. Because I guarantee you each time you're going to pick up, I didn't see that. I didn't see that either. I mean, he is mimicking. This is why I used to wonder why my teacher used to say, Yahweh do the same things over and over. It's like, what is he talking about? Yahweh do the same thing over and over. Back up. Start looking at it. And you're like, wow, wait a minute. This matches this. This matches this. And these things are long periods in between one another. These are not events where one happened, this week and another happened this week. No. We're talking about a long span in between one another. And he does this stuff the same way. And if we get that into our thought process, when things start happening in our lives, we can look up and see, wait a minute, what was the process of how he did some things with me before? Then watch what's happening now. Then consider that and look at what's contained in this book. And we might be able to figure some things out. Did you finish that, brother?
Yes.
Let's go to Matthew chapter 2. Matthew chapter 2, and let's start that at verse 1.
Now when Yahshua was born in Bethlehem of Judea in the days of Herod the king, behold, there came wise men from the east to Jerusalem, saying, Where is he that is born king of the Yehudis? For we have seen his star in the east, and are come to worship him. When Herod the king had heard these things, he was troubled, and all Jerusalem with him. And when he had gathered all the chief priests and scribes of the people together, he demanded of them where the Mashiach should be born.
Now you have to understand then that the enemies of Yahweh also study his scripture. The enemies of Yahweh study the scripture so they can try to cut off things before it comes to pass. And we think that everybody studying Yahweh's word is on Yahweh's team. You're sadly mistaken. These people know enough about the word to know we got to kill this entity right here. It's got to die. Go ahead.
And they said unto him, In Bethlehem of Judea, for thus it is written by the prophet, And you, Bethlehem, in the land of Judea, art not the least among the princes of Judea, for out of you shall come a governor that shall rule my people Israel. Then Herod, when he had privately called the wise men, inquired of them diligently what time the star appeared. And he sent them to Bethlehem, and said, Go and search diligently for the young child, and when you have found him, bring me word again, that I may come and worship him also.
Right, but what he really want to do, come tell me where he is so I can kill him. But he telling this lie, go find out so you can come and tell me so I can worship him. That ain't what he want to do. Go ahead.
When they had heard the king, they departed, and, lo, the star, which they saw in the east, went before them, till it came and stood over where the young child was.
Right, that ain't no star. Don't no star move like that. He said, well, maybe it was a shooting star. Shooting star go right across the sky, okay? That is an angel. Don't no star just go down the street, make a left turn at your street, go over the hill and stop. No, this thing has a purpose to show them where they need to be. Go ahead.
When they saw the star, they rejoiced with exceeding great joy. And when they were come into the house, they saw the young child with Miriam his mother, and fell down and worshipped him. And when they had opened their treasures, they presented unto him gifts, gold and frankincense and myrrh. And being warned of Elohim in a dream that they should not return to Herod, they departed into their own country another way. And when they were departed, behold, the angel of the Adonai appeared to Yosef in a dream, saying, Arise, and take the young child and his mother, and flee into Egypt, and be you there until I bring you word. For Herod will seek the young child to destroy him.
And when they were departed, behold, the angel of Yahweh appeared to Yosef in a dream. And then he gives him directions. Arise, take the young child and his mother, and flee into Egypt. Now, here it is. We want all of these things to happen unto us. Here's the problem. We got a book. They didn't. The book that they have is everything that we have in that Old Testament. This is the furthest of what they had. And then if you go back to the time of the Old Testament and you're reading it, they didn't have that. They had the law. So they didn't have any other thing to go back to. You do. So what do you need to give you a dream and a vision for everything that pertains unto your life for? You got a book. Anybody got to come to you and tell you, you should go to the mall. What do you need to do that for you for? Read, bro.
When he arose, he took the young child and his mother by night, and departed into Egypt, and was there until the death of Herod, that it might be fulfilled which was spoken of the Adonai by the prophet, saying, Out of Egypt have I called my son.
Out of Egypt have I called my son. So then you find the very same things happening unto Israel, same things happening unto Moshe. You find these same things again. He's got to run, take the child to hide from persecution. It is the very thing. Yahweh keeps doing the same things over and over. Go ahead.
Then Herod, when he saw that he was mocked of the wise men, was exceeding angry, and sent forth and slew all the children that were born in Bethlehem and all the coast thereof, from 2 years old and under.
Right. The same thing that ended up happening during Moshe's time, that they're trying to kill all the children of a certain age. Ooh, watch that chair. Watch it. Help him with that chair. You probably should have just picked up the little boy instead of the whole chair there. Go ahead, bro.
According to the time which he had diligently inquired of the wise men. Then was fulfilled that which was spoken by Jeremiah the prophet, saying, In Ramah was there a voice heard, lamentation and weeping and great mourning, Rachel weeping for her children, and would not be comforted, because they are not. But when Herod was dead, behold, an angel of the Adonai appeared in a dream to Yosef in Egypt, saying, Arise, and take the young child and his mother, and go into the land of Israel, for they are dead which sought the young child's life.
Pause. What did he tell Moshe? The people who sought your life are dead. Now you can go back. He keep doing the same things. Go ahead.
And he arose and took the young child and his mother, and came into the land of Israel. But when he heard that Archelaus did reign in Judea in the room of his father Herod, he was afraid to go thither. Notwithstanding, being warned of Elohim in a dream, he turned aside into the parts of Galilee. And he came and dwelt in a city called Nazareth, that it might be fulfilled which was spoken by the prophets, he shall be called a Nazarene.
All right, was that it, brother?
Yes.
Let's go to Acts chapter 7. You'll find in some of these things, if you back up, Yahweh is doing the same things, but the order will end up being reversed. Acts chapter 7, and we're going to start that at verse 37.
Verse 37. This is that Moshe which said unto the children of Israel, A prophet shall the Adonai your Elohim raise up unto you of your brethren, like unto me.
Like unto me. So he had already prophesied of Yahshua, that Yahshua was going to come, that this prophet was going to be like unto him. What did it say about Moshe? That he had spoke to Yahweh face to face, that he was greater than a prophet. That's the place where Yahshua stands, greater than a prophet. Go ahead.
Him shall you hear. This is he that was in the church in the wilderness with the angel which spake to him in the Mount Sinai, and with our fathers, who received the lively oracles to give unto us.
Verse 38, this is he that was in the church in the wilderness with the angel which spake to him in the Mount Sinai. Even when we say, and it says, behold, I am Yahweh, do understand that that is an angel speaking in the name of Yahweh. And that's one of those things that we have to understand when you hear people say, you know, I spoke to God. You just jumped over about 4 or 5 levels. You just ain't finna deal with him like that. He got representatives. You don't just jump up that ladder. Go ahead.
To whom our fathers would not obey, but thrust him from them, and in their hearts turned back again into Egypt, saying unto Aaron, Make us gods to go before us. Whereas for this Moshe, which brought us up out of the land of Egypt, we know not what is become of him. And they made a calf in those days, and offered sacrifice unto the idol, and rejoiced in the works of their own hands. Then Elohim turned and gave them up to worship the host of heaven, as it is written in the book of the prophets. O you house of Israel, have you offered to me slain beasts and sacrifices by the space of 40 years in the wilderness? Yea, you took up the tabernacle of Moloch, and the star of your god Remphan, figures which you made to worship them, and I will carry you away beyond Babylon.
Right. This star of their god Remphan, which they keep telling everybody is the Star of David. The Star of David is Yahshua. Go ahead.
Our fathers had the tabernacle of witness in the wilderness, as he had appointed, speaking unto Moshe that he should make it according to the fashion that he had seen, which also our fathers that came after brought in with Yahshua into the possession of the Gentiles, whom Elohim drave out before the face of our fathers unto the days of Dawid.
Right. And if you read this the way it is written in verse 45, it shows you what the Euro Gentiles did. Everywhere they seen Yahshua, they took it out and put Jesus. And they did it too many times. It's in Hebrews and it's in Acts, where they're talking about Yahshua or Joshua, the son of Nun. And because they were in a big hurry to glorify the pagan name of Jesus, they went and took every name of Yahshua and start throwing in Jesus. And they did it too many times in the New Testament. So here in a lot of these places, and in the one in Hebrews, you'll then find a letter. If you got a study Bible, in verse 45, it says, which also our fathers that came after brought in, and it said Jesus. If you got a study Bible, it's got a little letter right there. Mine says R. Go to the middle, and I said R, and it says Joshua. Now, how did they make that error? They made that error because they were trying to glorify their pagan God. They were trying to glorify the pagan name of Jesus. So everywhere they seen Yahshua, which would be Joshua, they took it out and threw in Jesus. Well, they did it too many times. And the ironic part is Yahweh let them do it. And he let them do it both in the New Testament. That is the part that proves, he's talking about an event in the Old Testament, and then they mention Jesus. So if you are studying, there's a question that pop up. Excuse me, how was Jesus in the Old Testament? Good question there. Right. That was supposed to pop up in your brain. How was he there? He wasn't. That's what happened when you decide to change names. And you get so slick that Yahweh add a little water. Little slippery then. You like to be slick? Throw a little water on that oil. You're going to keep on sliding. You trying to stop right here, he let you keep going. Right. So they got away with all the other ones. But then he let them do them too. That were going to get them caught. See, when folk using Yahweh, Yahweh using them too. He like, go right ahead. I got you. Go ahead, bro.
Verse 46. Who found favor before Elohim and desired to find a tabernacle for the Elohim of Yaakov. But Shlomo built him an house.
Right. And if you look, it's giving you the time frame. Now he's talking about Dawid. Then he goes to Shlomo. He's going through this period of time. So if you go through that period of time, there's no way the so-called Jesus could have been there in the middle of this time. That's why they put that little note and said, oh, what they meant to say was Joshua. No, that's what it originally said. You just took it out so you can put in your pagan God name. That's why he said they will no more know me by the names of Baal. Go ahead.
Howbeit the Most High dwelt not in temples made with hands, as says the prophet. Heaven is my throne, and earth is my footstool. What house will you build me, says the Adonai, or what is the place of my rest? Has not my hand made all these things? You stiff-necked and uncircumcised in heart and ears, you do always resist the Holy Spirit. As your fathers did, so do you. Which of the prophets have not your fathers persecuted? And they have slain them which showed before of the coming of the just one, of whom you have been now the betrayers and murderers, who have received the law by the disposition of angels and have not kept it. When they heard these things, they were cut to the heart, and they gnashed on him with their teeth. But he, being full of the Holy Spirit, looked up steadfastly unto heaven, and saw the glory of Elohim and Yahshua standing on the right hand of Elohim.
So now he then sees this vision. Go ahead.
And said, Behold, I see the heavens opened, and the Son of Man standing on the right hand of Elohim. Then they cried out with a loud voice, and stopped their ears, and ran upon him with one accord, and cast him out of the city, and stoned him. And the witnesses laid down their clothes at a young man's feet, whose name was Saul.
Right. This is one of the reasons why the rest of the children of Israel hated Saul. So he was standing there and was holding the coats of the very ones who stoned this brother who believed in Yahshua. He sees this vision, repeats what it is he sees. They say it must be blasphemy. We got to kill him. So here it is. They kill him, and they believe that they are doing Elohim a service. They think they doing right. Why? Because he saw something that they didn't see. Go ahead.
And they stoned Stephen, calling upon Elohim.
Calling upon Elohim.
Adonai Yahshua, receive my spirit.
And
And he kneeled down and cried with a loud voice, Adonai, lay not this sin to their charge.
Can you do that? You know how difficult that's got to be? As he is being stoned, he is calling upon Elohim and asking him not to lay this sin to their charge. You know how hard that's got to be? Being stoned ain't no quick thing. See, it ain't like no bullet situation. You know, bullet, pow, it's over. Stoning is absolutely slow. It takes a while to die with stoning. It is a very, very horrific sight. It's not pretty at all. So as he's being stoned, he is praying for the people who are stoning him. Oh man, we got some growing we got to do. Go ahead.
And when he had said this, he fell asleep.
All right, let's go to Leviticus chapter 10. That's a hard one right there. You know, we ready to retaliate if somebody just pulling our lane. Now we think this is our lane right here. I'm in this lane. You saw me in this lane first, didn't you? This is my lane. We ready to retaliate right now. Imagine feeling a rock hit you and more rocks are on their way. You see them coming. Leviticus chapter 10, and we're going to read verses 12 through 20. So with reading all of this and understanding that Yahweh deals with things in dreams and visions, we have to also make sure that we deal with the instruction part of what Yahweh gives us. Leviticus 10, and let's start that at verse 12.
And Moshe spake unto Aaron, and unto Eleazar, and unto Ithamar, his sons that were left. Take the meat offering that remains of the offerings of Yahweh made by fire, and eat it without leaven beside the altar, for it is most holy.
All right, now we got to paint the picture here. In the very first verse of chapter 10, it says, And Nadab and Abihu, the sons of Aaron, took either of them his censer and put fire therein and put incense thereon and offered strange fire before Yahweh, which he commanded them not. And there went out fire from Yahweh and devoured them, and they died before Yahweh. So 2 of Aaron's sons are now dead because they did the offering wrong. Okay, now we jump to verse 12. And Moshe spake unto Aaron, unto Eleazar, and to Ithamar, his sons that were left. That's why you got that were left, okay? Because he done killed off the other ones because they did something that they didn't have no business doing. Now, take the meat offering that remains of the offerings of Yahweh made by fire, and eat it without leaven beside the altar, for it is most holy. So they have these instructions. Do understand, 2 people already got killed for doing it wrong. Here come the instructions. Go ahead.
And you shall eat it in the holy place, because it is your due, and your sons' due, of the sacrifices of Yahweh made by fire, so I am commanded. And the wave breasts and heave shoulders shall you eat in a clean place, you and your sons and your daughters with you, for they be your due, and your sons' due, which are given out of the sacrifices of peace offerings of the children of Israel. The heave shoulder and the wave breast shall they bring with the offerings made by fire of the fat, to wave it for a wave offering before Yahweh, and it shall be yours and your sons with you by a statute forever, as Yahweh has commanded. And Moshe diligently sought the goat of the sin offering.
I'm sorry, he diligently sought the goat of the sin offering. What blood did they put on that coat of Yosef?
Goat.
Okay, go ahead.
And behold, it was burnt. And he was angry with Eleazar and Ithamar, the sons of Aaron, which were left alive, saying.
Now, think about how difficult now this has to be. They got 2 brothers that have already been killed because they didn't do the offering right. Now, Moshe is looking for this goat of this sin offering, and it was burnt. They did not eat it. in the place where they were supposed to be eaten, this has got to be a very tumultuous situation now. Go ahead.
Wherefore have you not eaten the sin offering in the holy place, seeing it is most holy, and Elohim has given it you to bear the lawlessness of the congregation, to make atonement for them before Yahweh. Behold, the blood of it was not brought in within the holy place. You should indeed have eaten it in the holy place as I commanded.
Right. So Moshe is saying, I gave you all of these instructions. You did not follow these instructions. You had Aaron, you had 2 sons who didn't follow the instructions, and they not dead. So now here it is. I just gave you some instructions and you didn't follow the instructions. Go ahead.
And Aaron said unto Moshe, behold, this day have they offered their sin offering and their burnt offering before Yahweh, and such things have befallen me.
Right, such things. He didn't say what things it was, but go ahead.
And if I had eaten the sin offering today, should it have been accepted in the sight of Yahweh? And when Moshe heard that, he was content.
When Moshe heard that, he was content. No, I did not offer those things and eat those things as they were supposed to, but certain things have befallen me, and now I am unclean. I cannot eat the sacrifices of the children of Israel. If I do it, it won't be accepted. Once Moshe heard that, he backed off. He was content. But understand, did no dream or no vision come to him. You know why? Because Yahweh had already gave them instructions. See, a lot of times we're looking for dreams and visions, but you got instructions. What do you need to come to you for? I gave you instructions. You're supposed to be at this state when you eat this. So Moshe gave him instructions. You need to eat such and such. You got to be able to bounce back and forth when one instruction bounces into another one. He said, eat it. But he also said you had to be clean when you ate it. So do you just listen to the last instruction? Say, well, you said eat it, man. Come on, let's eat it. No, bro, you ain't right, though. So then he stepped back. He wouldn't eat it. And come to figure out, he was right. Once Moshe heard, oh, something made you unclean. All right, well, then I'll back off. See, there has to be these things in situation and circumstance. We can't expect somebody to come and float down to us to give us instructions. It says, folks say, well, I'm waiting for the Spirit to direct me. This book says the word is the Spirit. Here is your direction. Nobody floated to him and told him what to do. He knew that his state wasn't right, and that if he did offer it, he was going to get, first of all, the children of Israel, it wasn't going to be accepted for him, and he was going to have an issue with Yahweh. He didn't need anything else. He had his instruction. That is what protected him. But let us hear the conclusion of this matter. Go ahead, brother. You got something?
I was just going to say, and after the death of your 2 sons doing something wrong, yeah, I'm a little bit more on my P's and Q's.
You better believe it. Let's go to Romans chapter 10 and let us hear the conclusion of this matter. Yeah, I'm pretty sure, that'll make you pay attention to all the instructions after that.
Romans chapter 10 and verse 1. Brethren, my heart's desire and prayer to Elohim for Israel is that they might be saved. For I bear them record that they have a zeal of Elohim, but not according to knowledge.
And when you just look at our people in general, our people in general just love God. We always have. We just didn't know how. You go into Christian churches the same way. They love God. They just don't know how. But we always had that. And none of us could really explain it. But it was always there. Go ahead.
For they being ignorant of Elohim's righteousness and going about to establish their own righteousness, have not submitted themselves unto the righteousness of Elohim.
Right. And that's the thing that we have to beware of, that we don't mix our righteousness and merge it into the righteousness of Elohim and then call them the same thing. He don't operate the way man operates. He don't think the way man thinks. So we can't believe that if we feel a certain way, that Yahweh must feel that way too. His law tells us how he feels. That's where we get how Yahweh feels about something. We cannot automatically create whatever we think, feel, and believe that Yahweh is going to feel the same way. Go ahead.
For Yahshua is the end of the law for righteousness to everyone that believes.
Right. He is the end of the law for righteousness, meaning what? He is the end of animal sacrifice. You don't have to have the animal to put you back in a righteous state anymore. That's what the law of faith is. It is faith that you don't have to make that offering yourself. And that's what we were doing. Because we brought the animal. We knew for a fact that our atonement was made. Why? Because we watching. That's the one I brought right there. I'm watching him and make sure he do all that. Okay, yeah, he cut that. Okay, yeah, all right, he put that on. All right, good. Now we know, because we were able to see with our own eyes, that there was atonement made for our sin with the animal that we brought. Now you got to have the faith that one man's death has taken care of that, but you don't get to watch the offering. You don't get to watch it being burnt up. That's a little difficult when you are accustomed to watching everything. It takes the control out of man's hand. And we don't like losing control. See, we had control of that situation. We could watch it and see every part of it. When that control come out of our hand, we don't know how to act. Go ahead.
For Moshe describes the righteousness which is of the law, that the man which does those things shall live by them. But the righteousness which is of the faith speaks on this wise. Say not in your heart, who shall ascend into heaven? That is, to bring Yahshua down from above. Or, who shall ascend into the deep? That is, to bring Yahshua again from the dead. Well, what says it? The word is near you, even in your mouth and in your heart. That is, the word of faith which we preach. That if you shall confess with your mouth the Adonai, Yahshua, and shall believe in your heart that Elohim has raised him from the dead, you shall be saved.
When we believe, there's something that we do. According to the book, it says all that believe and are baptized shall be saved. There's a step that ends up accompanying our belief. There's a change of walk that ends up accompanying our belief. And if Yahweh has already put these things down, you gotta think. There are people that believe, yeah, I should get my baptism, but the Spirit gonna come and tell me that I should get my baptism. The Spirit did. The Word is the Spirit. The Word said, all that are baptized who believe and are baptized. It says you shall not enter into the kingdom unless you are born again. Why do we expect somebody to float down the hall to tell us something that the book already told us? Now the Spirit need to come and tell you? What did he tell you that for? He already put it in the book. Go ahead.
For with the heart man believes unto righteousness, and with the mouth confession is made unto salvation. For the scripture says, whosoever believes on him shall not be ashamed.
For the scripture says. See, he's got to go through things and add things where the scripture doesn't say. But if the scripture already said it, ain't no need of him recovering that part. Go ahead.
You know, with that whole thing of the Spirit coming to you, tell you your baptism. So the Spirit's going to be mad with you because you took it upon yourself and went ahead and got your baptism and didn't wait for him to come and tell you?
It sounds stupid when you say it that way. Read, bro.
For there is no difference between the Yehudi and the Greek. For the same Adonai over all is rich unto all that call upon him. For whosoever shall call upon the name of the Adonai shall be saved.
You have to think about what those brothers said. What shall we do that we might obtain eternal life? They didn't say, what shall we do to go to heaven? What shall we do that we might obtain eternal life? And instructions were given. When they had the question about the Holy Spirit, they said, have you received the Holy Spirit since you believe? They said, we have never even heard that there was such a thing as the Holy Spirit. The very next question they asked, well, what then were you baptized? And they said, we was baptized under Yohannan's baptism. He said Johannes' baptism had the baptism of repentance. You got to be baptized in the name of Yahshua to have the opportunity to receive the Holy Spirit. Go ahead.
How then shall they call on him in whom they have not believed? And how shall they believe in him of whom they have not heard? And how shall they hear without a preacher? And how shall they preach except they be sent? As it is written, how beautiful are the feet of them which preach the gospel of peace, and bring glad tidings of good things. But they have not all obeyed the gospel. For Isaiah says, Adonai, who has believed our report?
Who has believed our report? So the word is given, the report is issued, but at the end of the day, who really believes the report? And where is our level of belief? When we look at the situation of Zechariah in Luke, where the angel comes and tells him something, he then questions it after he receives visitation. Where is our level of belief? Go ahead.
So then faith comes by hearing, and hearing by the word of Elohim.
Right. We can hear and still question. Because we got so many different voices that we're listening to. Everybody's talking. Go ahead.
But I say, have they not heard? Yes, verily, their sound went into all the earth, and their words unto the ends of the world. But I say, did not Israel know? First Moshe says, I'll provoke you to jealousy by them that are no people, and by a foolish nation I will anger you.
Right. In the beginning, Yahweh would say, go out and kill everything that breathes. Yahweh said, go in and take these people out of the land, because these people will be a snare unto you. Then after watching our dealings, he said, you know what? Now I'm going to leave some of them people there. Because see, now I want to prove whether or not you're going to serve me or not. So now I'm not going to take away all the contentious ones. I'm going to leave some of them there. Because I want to see what you're going to do. I want to see if you're going to allow them to persuade you to worship some of those strange gods that they worship. And let me tell you something. They make the strange God worship look so much fun. Go out on the internet and start watching some of that strange God worship. Watch what they do. Oh man, it look like a 24-hour party. I mean, they be jamming. They got the best music, best instruments. They got everything going to persuade you to go against Yahweh your Elohim. Go ahead.
But Isaiah is very bold and says, I was found of them that sought me not. I was made manifest unto them that asked not after me. But to Israel he says, all day long have I stretched forth my hands unto a disobedient and gainsaying people.
All right. And if we consider this, but to Israel he says, all day long have I stretched forth my hands unto a disobedient and gainsaying people. We have to first of all acknowledge that we are those people. While we out throwing all these Israelite pep rallies and talking all of these things, we have to go ahead and own this. That the disobedient and gainsaying people he talking about, that's us. That he gave us these prophets, he gave us all of these things, and we still did what we wanted to do. But at some point, we have to look at those things and learn and grow from them, so that when Yahweh gives us an opportunity to live in our land again, that we don't create the same issue. That we have to love his culture with our whole heart. To have a circumcised heart in the spirit, that means we're going to love all of his culture. We're going to envelop all of his culture, because that little bit of schism that's in year 1, in year 80 is going to turn to pure revolt. Because that little bit of problem is going to be handed down to those children, and then those children are going to hand it down to those children, and each generation is going to grow. And by a period of time, we got a whole different worship that is completely different than what he gave us. And we have to be able to learn from our mistakes so that we don't do all of these things again. We have to consider what all work Yahweh is doing to restore the children of Israel. While he working, what we gonna do? He's putting kings in place to move these people to do certain things. Y'all think Donald Trump just got in there? No, he got a job to do. We talking about a man that's a president that ain't even a Republican or a Democrat. Yet he the president. All we got to do is rewind. He didn't belong to either party. How he get there? He has a job to do. Yahweh is moving kings to get ready for the eventual return of the children of Israel. So what do we do while he doing all this work? We ain't gonna do nothing. That ain't gonna work. We gotta be preparing ourselves somewhere in here. While he's moving kings, while he's moving nations, while he's doing all of these things. This is why he cut off a whole generation, because that generation was not ready to receive Yahweh. They were ready to get out of physical bondage, but spiritually they could not come out of bondage. They were still in bondage in their mind. They were still at a place. Here it is, they're free. They asked to go back. Who you know got free from jail and stood outside the jail and said, open up, let me back in? That's what we did. We asked for somebody to show us how to get back. That Stockholm syndrome was strong. That we done fell in love with the oppressor. We want to go back. And we have to make sure that we don't make those same moves again. That's all that we're going to do for today. We have to also, Sunday night is going to be new moon. A new moon is a new month. So we will be celebrating our new moon at 8 p.m. Sunday night. Govern yourselves accordingly. That's all that we're going to do for today. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.